I'm Jake Bruton, and today we are in Bellingham, Washington. We're out for a thing with RetroTech, but we found a house. We were invited to blower door test a house, but I met Forrest from Chuckanut. Forrest, thank you for joining me today. Forrest is one of the managing partners. Is that a correct term? Okay.
Yep.
And we're at a house that their firm completed in 2016, and Forrest was nice enough to pull their mock-up out of your conference room, you said, to bring out and discuss it. And I thought, this is a really interesting thing. We can see it applied here, but we can see what happened to get us to that point. So I thought we would let Forrest literally walk us from gypsum to cedar.
Sure.
Right? So let's start on the inside and work our way out, and feel free to walk us through every decision-making process that you guys had in this assembly.
Sure. Well, the basis of the decision making was to make as efficient and beautiful of a home as we could.
Okay.
Right? We spoke with a client about it, and they didn't feel the need to get a certified home. We just talked about some of the certifications. We talked about Passive House. We talked about the benefits of it and the elements that are involved. And that got all of us really nerding out. So we're in the conference room trying to figure out all these different ways to make the house as efficient as possible and as comfortable as possible. And this assembly is what evolved from it. And it's a 2x6 advanced frame walls with dense packed cellulose. So we're getting in that R20 range. Then the exterior CDX sheathing, all CDX.
Is this half inch?
It's half inch.
Is that standard for everything here?
Yep.
It's not 3/4?
No, it's half inch sheathing.
It's one that most people don't catch. I think that the half inch actually carries a struck 1 rating, but everybody uses 3/4 for some reason. Like, it's a weird, in our market, CDX exists as 3/4, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah. So
interesting.
Difference of where we
very
build.
common. It is the typical sheathing that we use in this region. The WRB, the weather resistant barrier, is a SIGA product. It's MyVest. So that is minimal penetrations, taped seams on everything.
So it's a peel and stick. It's monolithic once it's all applied and connected, and you can take that from opening to opening, from plate to soffit and everything.
And across variable surfaces too, so we can go from concrete foundation all the way to the top plates. So that's WRB. Then we went into our exterior insulation, so we're eliminating any thermal bridging and adding an additional R12 through using the Thermocork product.
So there are 3 individual layers of cork. And it's a high density, and you said it's R4 per inch?
R4 per inch.
So we have a continuous R12.
Continuous R12.
And the continuous is important because it's not interrupted by these R5 sections, of framing members.
Yep.
You do have a little bit here. Is this added piece at the window buck just for window trim?
It's specifically for window and door openings.
Okay.
Yep. So a little bit less in this zone, but everywhere else is continuous. And this product is really amazing. It's a carbon neutral. It has no binders in it.
Okay.
So this cork is peeled off the trees, ground up, they heat it up, and the pitch, the sap that's within that cork itself melts, and then they compress it and it sticks together. So there's no weird glues or binders in there. It's just cork.
Well, in reality, that's the same as the cork in your bottle of wine. That's why it's okay to stick that in the bottle of wine, because it's not going to leach anything, because it's just the natural product.
Great point.
But we don't think about that as being the thing that keeps it, carbon neutral.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Outside of that, we have a 3/4 inch rain screen gap, and then a cedar tongue and groove 1x4 siding.
And is it Alaskan white, or is that
that's going to be red. That's
red.
And then, of course, the advantage to that, using a cedar product, it can live a hard life. It's a great siding material, but when we give it that rain screen, it's going to last so much longer because it can dry from both sides.
Yeah.
It tends to not cup. It tends to hold finishes longer. It can be installed in a smoother plane because it's not following the contours of a questionably
framed
wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can shim your batten strips, and you're using big enough batten strips that they have rigidity to them.
They also helped to compress the cork into place, so it's kind of this shuffle in the installation to get your pieces of cork installed and then hold them in place with just the battens. Right, so we didn't use additional fasteners for that.
Okay. What size panels? Do you know what size panels the cork comes in?
I believe they were 2x3.
Okay.
2x3 panels, and we actually had solid 3-inch material. So this mock-up was built with the 1-inch panels. Pieces.
Which in theory is better because every time there's a seam here, there's a leak point that potentially could get through there, where if you're using 3 separate layers, you're offsetting in different directions so that you can truly not have one penetration go all the way through, but there's still layers there that could leak. If you're doing it in one, there's a gap every once in a while, but if you're butting it tight. So we talked about cavity insulation, we talked about exterior insulation, we talked about rain screen and our draining and drying. One of the things we haven't talked about, actually two, we're going to talk about windows still, Forrest, and we're going to talk about vapor profile. So you have MyVest in the middle of the wall. Even if that product were polyplastic and was a permanent, vapor barrier, we still would have drying potential both directions. If it gets wet, it can feed back out as long as we don't put, we just joked, vinyl wallpaper on the inside, like some bowling alley smoking lounge or something. But that MyVest product is vapor open, 50 perms or something like that. And so we're not worried about moisture in the wall.
Nope.
We have enough exterior insulation that we're not going to get condensation in the wall due to a little bit of air leakage inside the wall cavity or something. So then let's walk through windows. Who's the manufacturer? Cascadia, and they're Canadian. Okay. Aluminum.
Yep.
These guys, they actually just use an EPS inside of them instead of a void. So they're aluminum outside, inside, and they're triple glazed. Do you remember by chance what U factor we're looking at for these guys?
Don't remember on this window.
But in 2016, even from Canada, we were probably looking at an R10 at the max. Maybe center of glazing is an R10 with an aluminum unit. We might have an R6 or 7 window, maybe. And that's what you could probably expect today, too. Might get a little higher in a UPVC because they are a little better at thermal resistance. And then they're a flangeless window, right?
They're flangeless, yep.
So are they all clip installed?
They're clip installed, and they're all triple gasketed. This is not the specific section.
Gotcha.
And they're all tilt turn.
Okay. So and then there are a couple hoppers inside too, and those guys are motorized.
Yep.
And they're as high up as you can get in the building, so they're stack effect windows, so they can get a little bit of cooling. I didn't look downstairs. Are there windows downstairs that are hoppers as well, so that they can run that system?
I don't think they're on the lower floor.
Okay.
Just upstairs.
And then, are you taping all 4 sides on the outside at this point?
We're taping 3 sides.
And then we see pan flashing here.
Yeah, we had a pan flashing, but there's a pre-installed pan flashing. So this is sub flash over the sill, and then there's a metal flashing that comes all the way up underneath.
And is that from Cascadia as well?
That was all a custom that we had made.
Okay. What are we missing? What insulation are you using between the window and the frame?
That was a Hanoband, expanding roll foam.
Yep. So it's an open cell foam of sorts that comes in a little roll, but then if you take the wrapping off of it, will be a big roll.
It expands.
Basically.
It slowly expands and perfectly fills all the voids and creates about the best air seal and insulation you can get in there.
And if you haven't worked with that before, you do one window, you put that window in, and then you move to the next window. You don't want to have the new guy go through and cut that expensive foam for every window and put it in, because then you go to put the windows in the unit and they won't fit in between that foam, and there's no mushing that stuff back. Like if it overfills before you get the unit in there, it's a cut it out and start over. And that stuff's not cheap, so you don't want to just toss it away. So all of this, we're airtight, we're insulated, we're durable. If we didn't talk about it, great design. The overhangs are enormous. I mean, you guys see a fair amount of weather. But anytime that it doesn't get wet in the first place, it doesn't matter how you installed the window, because the window's not going to leak if it never gets rained on. You know, you're never going to have a leaky front door if it never gets wet. So I think all of this is really great, and the reason we're here today is because Retrotech is going to re-blower door the house for you. The house was finished in 2016.
Yep.
And it was a 0.8, so we're going to redo it today and check out another video where we have Sam join us, and we'll put the red door in and see what this assembly did in 6 years since it was finished. So, awesome.
Yeah.
Forrest, this is a cool house, man. Thank you for letting us come and play.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.